Mama said it was only a matter of time before we got to this point. To the point of looking at one of the greatest underdog stories of all time. I am of course talking about the timeless character / immortal meme, Forrest Gump. This is a video about the underdog, but more importantly, the ones who support the underdog, bringing greatness out of below average. We are going to look at some of Forrest's greatest accomplishments to show that even though fictional, a person, good of heart, maybe a bit ignorant, can always end up in the wrong place at the right time and change history. We will look at how he influenced history with events so large and so small that they blow the mind. This is why the 90s was so great for movies, because I love seeing things like this, when a person accidentally has an impact on history, having an almost mystical ability to be in a place of high importance, molding and shaping the known world. This is a story that can give us all a bit of hope in these clown world times we are living in. Well, don't let it get you down, because you could end up having an impact on history without even knowing it. We can be our own version of Hiro Nakamura, shaping the timeline as we see fit, like Forrest did by accident, influencing the future we see today. The greatest aspect of Forrest Gump, for me, as a history buff, was how he accidentally influenced so many events throughout history. He exemplifies the human spirit, but also how ignorance is truly bliss. Not a care in the world, maybe due to more intellectually hindering factors, but nonetheless, it shows if we keep moving forward with a humble nature, allowing the universe to mold us and shape us accordingly, it will yield amazing results. I am not really a person who believes in fate or karmic accounts controlling your destiny, only because that would be the world's biggest excuse people use for their actions. That all their decisions are pre-made, and they take no responsibility. World's greatest cope. I believe in taking agency in your life, that your actions and thoughts shape your life's trajectory, not some mystical destiny that is influenced by factors we have no control over. It is a romantic notion, getting to escape responsibility, but at the end of the day, you want to take credit for the great things you do, not just think it is all preordained. Forrest Gump makes me believe in luck though, and I consider luck not to be a four-leaf clover type of thing, but more like an instinct to be in the right place at the right time, or in Gump's case, the wrong place at the right time, but being too aloof to notice or care. So let's dive in and bring some coincidence back into our lives, showing that anything is possible if we keep ourselves open to the possibilities. Our first instance of Forrest's timeline shaping ability would be when Elvis Presley stays at the Gump family's boarding house. Young Forrest, still wearing his leg braces, performs his signature clumsy, hip-shaking dance to the future king of rock and roll. Elvis adapts the move for his performances, launching his fame and prompting Forrest's mother to say, "That's a sin," when she sees it on TV. This was great to show how a child with a handicap ended up inspiring a dance that made women go crazy. And it was this innocence in his oblivious nature that he thought everyone was just having fun with him. But it actually turned out he was actually inspiring greatness. So just let loose sometimes and rock out. But hopefully you won't spawn the next TikTok dance craze. Keeping with this pop culture vibe, on the Dick Cavett Show, Forrest's observations about his time in China inspired John Lennon to write the lyrics for his famous song, Imagine. Using real-life interviews with historical figures and events is what makes this movie fascinating and makes you think he was actually there. It was perfect. It seemed like the 2008 film, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, tried to follow this motif, but in my opinion played in a completely different way than Forrest Gump. It was a more serious, somber take, and Forrest obviously had a more light-hearted spirit, while keeping with the serious nature of the actual events themselves. One of the smaller, but great happenings was when Forrest was running across the country. He wipes his muddy face on a t-shirt offered by a struggling bumper sticker salesman. The face-shaped stain inspires the iconic smiley face logo, along with the phrase, "Have a nice day." Gump's dirty face was the progenitor of the emoji before we even knew it. It came out of an act of kindness. A man gives Forrest his hard-worked art to wipe his face off with, and the universe saw that and literally smiled upon him. Fantastic. Along the same vein, during his run, a reporter asks Forrest why he is running. He replies, "I just felt like running." When he steps in dog feces, he exclaims, "Shit happens." The same reporter later turns the phrase into a popular bumper sticker. It was these tiny coincidences, with their minuscule impact on the world, that were the most charming. Let's get a little more historical now with the exposure of the Watergate scandal. After his successful ping-pong diplomacy trip to China, Forrest is given a room at the Watergate Hotel by President Richard Nixon. During the night, Forrest is disturbed by flashlights in the office building across the courtyard. Thinking the hotel guests' lights were broken, he calls security to report the issue, leading to the arrest of the burglars and setting off the chain of events that uncovered the Watergate scandal. As a kid watching this, I will admit I had no idea about this reference. But as I got more informed, I said, "Forrest, you dry snitched on the president." Haha. Forrest also was involved in many civil rights-era coincidences, not surprising being from Alabama, a hotbed for civil turmoil during this time. As a student and football star at the University of Alabama, Forrest is present during Governor George Wallace's infamous stand in the schoolhouse door in 1963. Forrest also kindly returns a textbook dropped by one of the first black students to enter the university, representing a landmark scene in the civil rights movement. What I loved about this absolutely genius scene was the cinematography and the scene setup. I was dying when you see Forrest in the live news broadcast in the background, just looking around with that quintessential Gump look. Classic. I also loved how his whole football team and coach were watching this in the locker room and said, "Is that Gump?" Sure the hell was. And he just walks by with the look of an innocent child not knowing he did anything, and gives the signature aloof wave. This speaks volumes about the vibe in the South at that time, and shows how Forrest did not know the rising temperature of the situation. He just did the right thing for another human. In today's world, there are many people who lead with racism, meaning they think everyone is a racist, and try to play the victim, like they are the only ones whose culture has been oppressed. I hate to say it, but stereotypes come from truth, and I am a man of candor. So saying that, if we all are truly honest with ourselves, we all have our own biases and preconceived notions about other races that we keep tucked inside the darkest realms of our minds. Only those who can admit this are truly human in my book, because it does not mean you hate people not like you. It just means that if you say you do not see color, you are not acknowledging the thing that makes us all different, unique, and special, thus making the world go round in Technicolor. Then if we all looked the same, it would be a dull gray. I believe that if your mind automatically goes to race, then you are the bigot, not the person who just does not know the difference, right? If it is always on your mind, and you live in it, then you are closer to it. But if a person has the innocent mind of a child, and the thoughts of race do not even enter his mind, then that means you are more divisive than he is. Well, unless he is spouting slurs. If you are always thinking about race, and it is the first thing you go to, leading with it, playing the victim, then you should not put your hang-ups on others, attributing. In a significant part of the film, Forrest experiences combat in Vietnam and also receives the Medal of Honor from President Lyndon B. Johnson. This whole depiction of Gump entering the Vietnam War was very impactful and shows the consequences and tragedies of war through the mind of a childlike adult. Simply genius. I thank every single man who signs up to serve his country, and that is a choice made by that person, so he must bear the weight of that choice. As seen in this film, when are we going to learn that the human psyche is just not meant to see all that blood and carnage? Forrest, it seems, does not even make a choice. He was just told to serve his country, and he just got on the bus and went. If you sign up for war, and it is not forced on you through a draft, then you must know what you are signing up for. So like anything else in life, the consequences of your actions could haunt you forever. I am a man who believes that the defense of one's home is the truest form of soldiering, and invading another country for the whims of the sitting leaders of the time is merely a way these leaders play with the lives of other human beings for political reasons. I cannot stand this. If invasion is unavoidable, then it should be done in the most concise, impactful way possible, in and out, not dragging it on for decades, as we have seen in recent years, for what some may call ulterior motives. If Vietnam is not an example of this, then I do not know what is. My respect goes out to any man who gives their life to protect others, whatever their reasoning, but I just wish sometimes your country, or more apropos the leaders of said country, would show you the same thanks when you come back home. Maybe not with a medal so much, but with something that can help you a bit more in your everyday life after the horror of war. Through this, I say whatever the reason you sign up for service, make sure when you say, "I am signing up to serve my country," you are truly signing up for that. and not just signing up to be the fodder for men in suits, who use good men as pawns on the chessboard to make their stay in the White House more productive. I know that is a harsh take, but I recently watched Jon Bernthal's amazing portrayal of the Punisher again, and this notion was really brought to light in the most poignant of ways, and it really makes you think. It makes me think about what Forrest said when he met and mooned President Lyndon Johnson. "Oh, yes, sir." Bit me directly in the buttocks. Simply genius. He said he had not seen a nickel of that so-called million-dollar injury money. We also see the plight of the soldier through the phenomenal character of Lieutenant Dan Taylor. We see he is from a long, decorated line of warriors whose family has fought in every American war and died. It is simply perfect to see the innocence of how Forrest sees war and what happened with Lieutenant Dan. He loses his legs fighting for his country, and like many veterans back then, he comes back home to degradation and poverty. He suffers mentally like most soldiers who experience the horrors of war do, turns to alcohol, and tries to cope with his failing situation. It is one of my favorite parts of the movie when Dan shows up on the dock in his wheelchair and him and Forrest set off to build the Bubba Gump shrimp empire. Dan's catharsis is amazing to see, and by the end of the movie he finds happiness, and also, through another one of the movie's most future-telling points, gets Forrest involved with Apple computers, and I quote, "So I got a call from him saying we don't have to worry about money anymore." And I said, "That's good. One less thing." A bit of irony came when he was in Washington, D.C., as a war hero of course, and he finds himself in the middle of an anti-war rally, and ends up having a mic drop moment as he reunites with his beloved Jenny in the Lincoln reflecting pool. After being awarded the Medal of Honor, Forrest attends a peace rally and is mistakenly invited to speak. While giving his unsophisticated yet honest remarks, the sound is cut, preserving his innocence about the political turmoil. You have to be completely unaware if you find yourself in a rally after doing the exact opposite of what they are screaming about, but still being on stage looking like a figurehead. So, everything from pop stars to meeting presidents, being a football god and war hero, all the way to civil rights, investing in software, foodstuffs, and being touched personally by the AIDS movement. We can see that this man lived more in one lifetime than most men will live in 10. Yes, I know he is a work of fiction, but we can use classic films like this to inspire our actions, because aren't we all living in the movie of our own lives? We only see through our own two eyes, so we can either live a boring, droning existence, or we can make the most of this short time we have. It has been said that hell is not somewhere we go when we die, but we are living in it right now. And in today's world, I could not argue. Things seem to be a stark gray, where hope is a luxury, and we do what we have to do, until we grind hard enough, to be lucky enough, to do what we are meant to do. Remember, you can be the Forrest Gump in your own life. Well, maybe not so ridiculous, but if you look at it, isn't ignorance bliss? This man did not think too deeply about anything. And look at the success he reached. So I always think to myself, is the intelligent man overthinking himself into depression, and the blissfully ignorant have it figured out? Maybe. Forrest may have been the ultimate underdog character, but he could not have done all he did without the support and inspiration of supporting characters like Mama, Bubba, Dan, and Jenny, who nurtured and brought out the qualities that made this man soar. So just remember, life is like a box of chocolates, and stupid is as stupid does.